Now, President Trump's controversial executive orders on immigration prompting protesters to take to the streets in cities across the country.
Yeah, the new administration plans to make Mexico, they say, pay for the border wall and go after sanctuary cities. Demonstrators in New York, angry with President Trump's executive order, protested in Washington Square Park last night. And this is some video. This is out of Philadelphia. Demonstrators gathering outside the Lowe's Hotel. That's where President Trump will visit GOP lawmakers today. Amy?
President of Mexico condemning President Trump's actions, vowing that his country will not be paying for the wall. President Trump says he expects construction on the wall to start in the coming months. Joining us this morning to talk more about all of this is immigration attorney Niathal Mubarak. He's live in the newsroom for us this morning. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning, Amy. I'm great. How are you?
Good, thanks. All right, so let's talk first about the release of this executive order. What are your thoughts on initially what is going to happen?
Well, there was two orders that the president signed yesterday, one specifically relating to the borders and one to the public safety of the interior of the United States. Some things are familiar, some things have changed. Specifically, he's calling for a plan to build a physical wall. However, the executive order lacks any details as to who will pay for the wall. It does request that the agency create a study as to who should pay for the wall, how much it will cost, and how to maintain the cost of holding such a wall. The other things that expand and believe what many people are protesting is the expansion of what's called a criminal. Previously, the Obama administration had a priority as to who to deport, and these people were convicted criminals. In this executive order, he's including criminals to individuals who have been charged with the crime. So potentially this can be people who were charged with the crime, then found innocent, case was dismissed, but now they are also priority to deportation. So I think many of the people reacting to these orders are very upset about this overly broad language, what's defining as a criminal. Or there's even language that says if you've committed acts that constitute a crime, you can be found to be a priority in the deportation. And that's extremely broad. So in President Obama's administration, he's actually deported more individuals than the last two presidents combined. So he had a priority as deporting undocumented individuals in the United States. But now the question is, well, what is actually who's actually a criminal? The language is so broad. Are we going to differentiate from actual convicted criminals to any individual who could have jaywalked, for example? So,
let's talk about the Middle East as well. I want to make sure we have time to tackle both of these.
Sure.
As far as the restrictions on who can and can't come into the country, and there's a lot of focus, it seems, mostly on Middle Eastern countries. And one of the things I was looking at, specifically in Germany, is that they say most of the problems that they are having with immigrants coming here are actually from North African countries. What are your thoughts on the restrictions there?
So President Trump hasn't signed this order yet. However, he's expected to do so today or tomorrow, and I've read a draft, and he does list 7 countries of the Middle East and North Africa, and he states that we will put a hold for up to 4 months on any visas being issued. They want to reanalyze any applicants for visas and actually put hold on refugees. But there's a small caveat that says unless you're a religious minority, which many have inferred as unless you're not Muslim, then they will allow to continue those refugees to enter the United States. He also mentioned he wants to reduce the proposed number of refugees to 50,000. Again, this has only been a draft, and we'll see what's actually going to be signed later today, if not tomorrow.
All right. Well, we hope that you'll come back and talk with us more about it. Yeah. Niathal Mubarak, how can our viewers find you if they have questions?
At MubarakLaw.com, and our office is in downtown Orlando. And we just recently opened about 5 months ago, and I've been practicing for 7 years. So thank you.
Good for you. We appreciate your expertise this morning. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me.